Hello, everybody. I'm Kassar. Thank you for joining us today. These are confusing and complicated times, and the information we are trying to provide you is fluid and evolving. We will be providing you copies to this presentation as well as a recording of it at the end so you can receive it. We will also be providing many links in this presentation with different resources to help you. Please understand before I start that we are trying to give you the very best advice we can about the situation on the ground. A lot of this is changing and it's moving targets, and it is uncharted territory for all of us. So bear with us. If we don't know the answer, we'll tell you. And if we know the answer, we'll give it to you. What we're going to do is go through the presentation first and then open up the floor for Q&A. There are a lot of people on there, so please post your questions to the board and the moderators will do their best to get through them as quickly as possible. I think my eye doctor's out there, so I'm going to put on my reading glasses so I can click. A little bit about myself. I'm the founder and CEO of MultiFunding. We work with business owners and entrepreneurs across the United States to help them get the best possible loans for their situation. We've been around for 10 years. I write a weekly column for Inc. I'm all over the press regularly on these issues. I've advised prior administrations on the small business credit markets. I have a book out called The Growth Dilemma. And for my EO friends out there, Entrepreneurs Organization, I'm a proud member of EO Philadelphia. But you're not here to learn about me. You're here to learn about SBA and what the options are in this confusing time. So let's get started. Today, what I want to talk to you about is SBA loans in progress and what you can do today to get started with the process. Keep in mind that most of the legislation has not been approved yet, so there's a lot of misinformation and confusion out there. We're going to do our best to tell you the information about what we know today. We'll talk a little bit about liquidity that you can leverage, tips to negotiate deferments on current loans, and staying away wherever possible from short-term online lenders in this environment. So let's begin. Oops, I went the wrong way. There are, in today's world, two kinds of SBA loans that you can apply for, and it is important that you understand what they are and the differences. The first are SBA emergency injury disaster loans, and the second are programs underway by the government to boost regular SBA programs. Let's start with the emergency injury disaster loans, which are new. These loans are designed to assist business owners in case of emergencies like we are in today. These loans are processed through the government. As of today, in order to apply, your state has to declare an emergency. And the following states, as of this morning, have declared emergencies, and you can apply in these states or contiguous counties to these states. We fully expect within a couple of days, every state will have declared an emergency, and this list is fluid and evolving, but this is where you can apply today. What do these mean? These loans are designed when in times of sustainable economic injury to help business owners get through and pay necessary operating expenses. To be clear, they will cover the expenses that you incur. So if you choose to lay off your employees, which is a perfectly understandable choice in many circumstances, you will not be able to get a loan for the time or period that we go through this that you are not paying them or their health insurance premiums. They're here to help you provide the working capital to survive until you resume normal operations. That include help you cover your employees, their health insurance premiums, rent, mortgage payments, regular debt service, etc. They are available for up to $2 million to help you cover your financial operations and operating expenses during the time of the disaster. And the loan amount is going to be determined based upon your company's financial needs. And they are going to review your financials month by month, including what happened last year. These are not grants. They are not giveaways. They are loan applications. There's going to be a mammoth problem getting them processed and underwritten but everyone has to understand that they have to get ready for them. The interest rate will not exceed 3.75% per year. The terms of these loans will not exceed 30 years. The term will be determined by your estimated ability to repay them. The EDILs is available only to small businesses where they are unable to obtain credit elsewhere for their requests. In essence, some of the legislation that is being proposed, your request is less than $350,000, then you will not have to meet the minimum requirements. As of right now, the maximum loan amount for these loans is $2 million. And all of these loans will most likely require a lien on your business and your home in order to get them, for any business owner who owns more than 20% of the business. To find out more about these loans, to check if your area is eligible, we will be providing a link. We will be providing a link about where to apply and where to submit your IRS 456T. There's some discussion underway that some lenders might be helping the government process these, but at this point, that is rumor. And until that point, we won't be able to provide any information about it. So that's a little bit about the economic injury loans. Everyone also has to understand that you have a choice. You can apply for an economic injury loan, or you can start the process immediately to apply for a regular SBA loan, which will be processed through one of the lenders. This is usually how SBA loans are made. They're made by the lenders and not by the government directly. What the government is hoping to do by relaxing the rules on the loans, they will be able to leverage all the lenders and that infrastructure and lending in order to help get loans through. There is talk about substantially increasing the authorization level. We've heard anywhere from 50 to the recent legislation that came up last night to $300 billion. Just to give you some sense of it, the budget before this for this year was $30 billion of SBA loans. And now the talk is up to $300 billion to get through. You'll be able to use the proceeds for payroll, including paid sick leave, mortgage payments, etc., during the disaster period. But be clear, if you choose to lay off your people, you can then not get a loan for the payments that you're not making to them or for their health insurance premiums. And this is a decision that you have to make. The government is going to waive all SBA 7A loans. The government is going to guarantee the lenders 90% or perhaps up to 100% of the loan if the loan goes in default, no matter the size. And the government is expected to increase the amount of SBA Express loans, which are essentially lines of credit, from $350,000 to $1 million. This is the talk about the program that is underway right now. What does all this mean in English? The government is going to be encouraging SBA lenders and incentivizing them to take on more risk and leveraging their processing and lending capabilities. The government understands there's no way they can possibly process these all themselves. They're going to make regular government guarantees go away, which will mean less fees out of your pocket to get these loans. And lines of credit will now be $1 million versus $350,000. But typically to get an SBA line of credit, you also have to have an SBA term piece. So in some ways you have to decide your approach. You can apply for an emergency loan. The benefits of these are low rates and longer paybacks. The cons are they are expected to be slower and complex processes, and there will not be a buffer between you and the government. To give you some historical context, unless they can find a way to fix things, in Hurricane Katrina, it took 5 months to get these loans through. This problem is far bigger and more dramatic than Hurricane Katrina. Your other option is to try to leverage an existing SBA lender. The pros are, if you go to a lender who knows what they're doing, you will likely get to the finish line faster. You might pay a higher rate and have a faster payback than the emergency loans, but you will likely get it done. If you go the regular SBA route, as of right now, the same rules apply as yesterday. And you also have to realize that the options are not mutually exclusive. You can put in applications for both and see which one you get done faster. But if you get one done, you have to let the other lender know that you've gotten the loan. So what does this mean? What are the rules of the SBA? Every individual can be eligible for up to $5 million or possibly up to $10 million of SBA loans if the new legislation passes. The discussion is that they're going to move it from $5 million to $10 million. That being said, if an individual business has a loan of greater than $350,000, the SBA is going to require a first lien on all your business assets and likely a lien on your house if you own one. So if you want SBA help and you have more than $350,000 of debt right now, you're going to have to refinance it in order to do this. If your request is $350,000 or under, the SBA lender can take a second lien on your business assets and is not required to take a lien on your house. Any owner who owns 20% or more of the business must be willing to personally guarantee the loan. And if you currently have an SBA loan, they are very difficult to refinance. So we encourage you to do one or two things. Go to your lender and ask for an increase in the loan amount, or go to a new lender and ask for a $350,000 or under loan, which they are able to do in a second lien position. Trying to put it all into English. You may be eligible to get an SBA loan for $350,000 or under to shore up your balance sheet without having to restructure or refinance all your other debt. This is a 10-year term. The current interest rates are 6% with a monthly payment of about $3,900. There's a personal guarantee. They will go in second lien on your assets, and there's no prepayment penalty. Regular government guarantee fees go away. SBA lines of credit will now be $1 million versus $350,000, we believe. And any loans greater than $350,000 will require a clean first lien on all your assets. This is not true for every lender, but from our experience, the lenders at least we work with, if you want to get a loan of $350,000 or under, you will require a FICO of 650 or higher, no bankruptcies for the last 5 years. You have required to be in business for at least 2 years and to have had positive cash flow last year. If you had a good year last year, you can probably have a pretty easy time, relatively easy time, getting a conventional SBA loan now. If you had a bad year last year or lost money, you're most likely probably better off trying the emergency relief loans. Now, folks, the piece of information I'm about to share is perhaps the most important thing I can leave you in all of this. There are things you can do today. People are frustrated that the government doesn't have it all together and they don't know the rules of the SBA loan yet. However, I beg of you, get your information together today to prepare for your loan application. So in the next few days, when it becomes open and ready, you are ready and you can get on top of the queue. First and foremost, you should work on your 2019 taxes. I know that the government today extended the deadline for filing taxes. However, you can file and still not pay them until later, but if you file your taxes, you will have a stronger loan application because it will demonstrate to your lender your historical performance for 2019. Please work with your CPAs or your accountants and get your 2019 taxes done as quickly as possible if you want a better chance of getting an SBA loan. We will provide these links. You need to work on your personal financial statements for anybody who owns 20% or more of your business. These documents will be required for the loan application, and you need to do them. You will need to put together a business debt schedule. We will provide a link, but the lenders are going to need this in order to assess it. These are things, especially while many people are working from home, you can take the time and do now. Get ahead of the curve. If you get ahead of the curve, you will get higher in the queues. If you're behind the queues could get overwhelmed very quickly. Also, you need to understand your operating expenses from last year. What did it take for you to operate your business? Employees, payroll, health insurance, rent, mortgage payments, debt service, etc., your core expenses. You're likely going to be eligible for somewhere between 3 to 6 months of operating expenses for relief on regular SBA loans. If you can't do this, I'm not sure how to do it, and you can't go into your QuickBooks and your accounting support yourself, go ask your CPA or bookkeeper for help. We will also be launching later today a community website where people will be offering resources and help. Or if you'd rather do it, you can also go and try to reach out to your local SCORE office or local small business development center. But understanding the data and your financials and what happened last year and what you believe your damages are going to be over the next 3 to 6 months is critical information that the lender is going to need for your loan application. So go get it together now. We can't help you unless you have this information together. I'm not trying to, beat a dead horse, but it is your responsibility, every business owner's responsibility, to get all this information together. And the faster you do, the more likely you are to get a loan and relief. 3 years of business and personal tax returns. If 2019 tax returns will not be available anytime soon, we're going to need your 2019 financials. We will need your personal financial statement, we or any lender, for any owners greater than 20%. A business debt schedule will be required, and there will be a need to be a discussion of your operating expenses so the lender can understand clearly and quickly what your losses are over the next few months. In addition to the SBA, we encourage you to think about your lines of credit. Maybe ask for a bigger one or consider drawing some of it down. The lines of credit should be the greater of 10% of top line sales or 85% of AR and 50% of inventory. There's much discussion about deferment of current loan payments. If you are worried about your ability to make current loan payments over the next few months, proactively reach out to your lenders. The SBA strongly encourages the lenders to help borrowers through deferment through this time if it is an SBA loan, but be proactive and be ahead of the curve. Don't wait for the problem to occur. And my final word of caution is beware of short-term loans and online scams that are certainly about to emerge. If a borrower wants to give you money, which might seem really attractive at this moment, but is going to require it be paid off over 3 months at very high interest rates and very high payments, this is going to hurt. Be very, very careful before taking on an online loan and check the validity of that lender and the terms. If you are going to go to a private lender, push for the longest possible term of payout, or you could be in trouble. Some resources to you. We have launched at MultiFunding an online community. The URL, which will be provided later, is tribe.multifunding.com. This is a community where we encourage you to go ask us your questions or share answers from your experiences with other people in the community. We cannot keep up with the flow of questions coming in by the minute, email by email. They need to go up on a community board, and we're asking you to go there. And if you can't find your answer, pose a question and someone will get it answered as quickly as possible. If you're looking for SBA disaster loans, that is the link where you can go and start the application and apply. And if you want to further up information for MultiFunding, you can go to the link we provided, or you're certainly welcome to go to your local bank or SBA lender or lender that you already have an SBA loan with to proceed. So that, folks, is the core of the information we have today. The information might be different. It probably will be different tomorrow. Every morning on the community site and on social media, we are posting an update with the most current updated information as we have it in a blog post, and you're welcome to read that and look at that. That is the end of the prepared presentation, and now we will open up the floor to as many questions as you have in an effort to help you. Thank you so much. Kate will be going through the questions and reading them to me, and then I'll do my best to answer them. Hey, Kate.
How are you?
Great. Hi, guys.
Joshua's asking, is it only specific counties within each state?
Joshua, we believe that if a state has declared an emergency, all the counties in that state are eligible. and the contiguous counties in the other areas around it are eligible. If someone knows differently, please let us know in the community, but that is our belief right now.
Can the SBA economic injury disaster loans be structured similar to a line of credit that can be drawn as needed, or just a straight loan amount?
I strongly believe that they are just straight term loans.
Nabin is saying, I haven't filed 2019 corporate and personal taxes yet. Would it make it difficult for me to get approved for disaster loan?
I don't think it'll make it impossible, but it'll make your application stronger if you get your taxes done as soon as possible. Remember, the lenders are going to be filtering through millions of applications likely. And so it's possible they will pick the ones put on the top that they think they can get done the first and the fastest.
Eric's asking, what is an SBA 7A loan?
An SBA 7A loan, it's not a 7, it's a 7A. And that is a term loan issued by the lender, guaranteed by the government. And the core of the program is it's designed to get banks to make riskier loans than they otherwise would to borrowers. And if the lender defaults on the loan, if the borrower defaults on the loan, the lender can come back and ask the government for support for it.
What if they lay off part of their employees? What percentage do they need to keep?
So the answer is I'm not sure, but you can expect relief, I believe, only for the employees you've kept, but you cannot expect relief for the employees that you've laid off. And I understand that puts a business owner or an entrepreneur in a difficult predicament because it could take weeks before you get money, and many people can't afford to wait, and although you might not want to lay off your employees, but that is the reality of the situation. If you let go half your staff and you keep half your staff, they'll probably give you relief for keeping half the staff during this pay period, but they're not going to give you relief for the cost of employees who you've let go, we don't think.
Nick's asking, can you apply for both simultaneously?
You can, but if you get one first, it's your responsibility to tell the other one that you got the debt. And that will probably shut off your other application.
Jen is asking, if still paying employee health insurance, even though they are not working, can I get the emergency loan?
That is our understanding. If you keep the health care and you keep the benefits and you keep paying for them, even though they're not working, that is exactly what the loan is for. If you let them go and stop paying the insurance, then you're not entitled to that benefit.
Tom's asking for clarification on the process of the economic injury disaster loans. Do the banks process them, or are they processed by the government?
As of the information we have today, the government processes them and you have to apply to the government. It is possible that that will change over the next few days and the government will enlist some banks to process them, but that has not been approved yet and we don't know. So as of right now, if you want to apply, you need to go to the site we've provided and apply there.
I have a 504 and a 7A. I'm asking for those payments to be deferred. Can I still apply for emergency loan?
Yes, as long as the debenture part of your 504 and the current 7A don't exceed $5 or probably $10 million after the new legislation is approved. The maximum amount of SBA exposure will still be relevant.
Does the emergency SBA loan also require first lien? My current loan is greater than 6 million. Business is a hotel with great cash flow, but current lender will not give up first lien.
We don't think that the emergency relief loans will require first lien. And certainly if you want to apply for one of the regular SBAs of 350 or under to give you some cash flow support during this time, that will not require first lien.
Samir's asking, how are the calculations done for how much you can get? Is it better to apply for 350 so you get it, or go for a higher amount?
You really need to assess, likely over a 6-month period, should this last 6 months, and that's a challenge no one knows, what your damages will be, what your operating expenses monthly, say through March through September of last year. And that is the amount you should apply for, at least for relief. They're not going to give you more money than that, depending on how long a period they decide for. These are not grants. They are loans to help you through this uncertain period.
When you're talking about positive cash flow for SBA, how much?
There are different ratios. I believe it's a 1.2, but they really want to see your ability historically, based on how your business historically have performed, to make the loan payments. This is for conventional SBA loans. Disaster loans might look at it differently, but conventional lenders are going to take a look back. Was your business healthy before all this started? If your business was not healthy and not cash flowing, there's a good chance they will deny the loan and send you to the emergency disaster relief loans.
For a business that has a senior ABL lender and a mezzanine SBIC lender, are these SBA options possible?
The disaster relief loan certainly might be possible because it won't require a first lien. And the regular SBA could be possible under one of two scenarios. They're either going to refinance all your debt and give you extra working capital, or if it would be helpful, the 350 or under amount could go in second lien behind your current loans.
As an S Corp, do we need both company and personal taxes, or just corporate for 2019?
Preferably both.
Mike says, you mentioned that the owner needs to personally guarantee and have a house lien for the standard SBA loans. Does this also apply to disaster loans?
Correct. Any owner who owns 20% or more has to personally guarantee the loan. And if it's more than $350,000 for a regular loan, if you own a home, you're going to have to put a lien on it. And if and the same holds true for regular emergency disaster loans. These are all, again, there's some discussion that there will be forgiveness of these loans in 6 to 9 months, but I'm counting a lot of that right now as myth until anything is passed. So for now, you have to assume the same SBA rules apply. Anyone over 20% has to personally guarantee, and you're going to be on the hook eventually for paying this back if you choose the route. If the legislation changes, we'll let you guys know, but that's our assumption as of right now.
Are there options for applicants that do not have a 650 or higher FICO score?
If you're under 650, you're probably better going to the emergency relief loans.
What are options for businesses that just open? They haven't been in business for 2 years, in other words.
Probably best to go to the emergency relief loans.
If we furlough employees temporarily, can we get a loan for the payroll that we need to bring them back once the loan's in place?
It's a good question. I would think that that would be a totally legitimate answer, but I'm not 100% sure.
How is boosting the SBA loans different than a regular SBA loan that was available last year?
It's different because the government is going to be providing much higher guarantees to the bank to encourage them to make riskier loans. It's different because you will be paying lower fees. It's different because interest rates are certainly lower than they are a year ago.
Someone's asking for clarification on personal guarantees, saying, are emergency relief loans under 350,000 still personally guaranteed?
Yes, to the best of our knowledge, every emergency relief loan is personally guaranteed. If it's under $350,000, you won't have to prove that you don't have credit available elsewhere, but over $350,000, you will.
Frank's asking, I'm about to sign an LOI for a new acquisition. Do you feel loans for new acquisitions will be halted or hard over the next few months?
I think there's a possibility they will be harder because many banks will put emergency on the people needing immediate relief and asking people to put acquisitions on hold. That's a hypothesis. I don't know for sure. It really depends bank by bank.
Someone's asking if you actually don't need the money today, but want to at least get approved so that if the need arises, is that a possibility?
I think you will, if that's your scenario, you might want to try to get a line of credit. However, I believe the term debts, because of the vast volume that's going to come through, they're either going to insist that you take the loan or move on. I don't think they're going to keep those loans holding, waiting for you, because then they will have to completely re-underwrite your file later, and they're not going to want to take the time to do that.
Valerie's asking, do you have any information for nonprofits?
Nonprofits need to apply. To the best of our knowledge, nonprofits are not eligible for regular SBA loans, so they need to go to the disaster relief site and start their application there.
This is more of a clarification on the mutually exclusive, not mutually exclusive. If you apply for one type of loan, say disaster, and then have an app in for the bank for a 7A, is that possible?
It's possible, but if you get one first, you need to let the other one know that you're done because you have a loan. So they're not going to let you have both. It's going to be, we believe, one or the other.
Michelle's asking, does a business need to be in business for 2 years for an SBA disaster loan?
We don't believe that's the case. No, you do not. Technically, you don't have to be in business 2 years for a regular SBA loan. Well, however, because of the sheer volume, we expect most of the businesses that are startups or very new will land up in the emergency relief loan queues.
Doug's wondering if we know when they would find out if their SBA loan, disaster loan, has been processed.
I wish I knew an answer to that. They have a major challenge there, getting these through as quickly as possible. And I'm sure they're working 24/7 around the clock to figure that out, but I don't know. I think you have to prepare yourself that it's going to take a while.
There's still some questions about whether the deck will be available, and yes, we'll provide the deck and the recording of this webinar later today. Gina's asking, are there similar resources for SBAs in Canada?
You know, I wish I knew. I don't know Canada. Kate, maybe go ahead. Sorry, Kate, go ahead.
This one is about industries. Are there specific businesses that will not qualify?
Yeah, they are, and we actually have a commitment to get that listing up on the site. But certain industries, like if you own or manage real estate as investments, that's not qualified for an SBA loan unless they make an exception here. Certain industries, like if you run strip clubs or porn shops, those aren't eligible. So if you run a money brokerage, that's not eligible for an SBA loan. So there are some industries that are not eligible. Maybe, Kate, while you're just sorting through the next few questions, I'm going to reiterate what I think is the most important part of this whole presentation. And the single biggest message that we want to put in front of all the business owners today, that you are These are not going to be giveaways or grants or easy things on the flick of the button. You'll get a check. They're going to take work, and you're going to have to put together an application. And while the government is scrambling to figure out how they're going to respond to this and what the rules are, I can assure you of some documentation that's going to be required. And the best possible thing you can do is start taking care of this today. We encourage you to get your taxes done. Even if you don't pay them, get them filed. 2019 personal and business. If you get them done and filed, this will make your loan application stronger. We encourage you, and the links will be provided, to submit your personal financial statement. The lender's going to need this. It takes a while sometimes to put it together. Get it together now. Don't wait. We encourage you to put together your business debt schedule. This is going to be important for the lender. We encourage you to get an understanding of what you anticipate your losses will be from the business over the next 6 months. What were your operating expenses, say, through March through August of last year? If you're having a hard time with these, we will have a site up soon with people offering to help you through this, or you can go to your accountant, your CPA, your local SCORE office or Small Business Development Center. Keep in mind, if you lay off employees and stop paying the health insurance, which is an understandable decision because these loans could take a while, you are not going to be eligible for relief for paying them over the next few months because you stopped paying them. Summary: 3 years of business and personal tax returns. If your 2019 tax returns are not available yet, we will need your 2019 financials. Any owner who owns more than 20% will have to personally guarantee the loan, and their personal financial statements can be downloaded here. You will need your business debt schedule, and you will need your discussion of your operating expenses. If there's one thing you can start working on today when you get off this webinar, and you're worried about getting a loan, it's this. This information is what will help you get it done. Kate, go ahead.
I was asking, if you are a minority owner, but your majority owner doesn't want to guarantee your loan, what are your options?
If someone more than 20% owner is not willing to guarantee the loan, you're out of luck.
Matthew's asking for clarification. The greater than $350,000 loan terms are just for regular SBA loans, not the emergency loans.
No, they apply to all of them. It's just that if you want to get our advice to you folks is to sort of sum it up. If you think you're going to need relief and you had a good year last year and your business was making money or cash flowing or profitable, you are probably better off trying to get a regular SBA loan and skipping the emergency disaster relief loans. If you want a regular SBA loan and you think, or the data shows that $350,000 or less will help you get you through, you're probably better off applying for that amount and not worrying about refinancing or restructuring all of your senior debt, because that's going to make it slower and more complicated. If it's over $350,000, then it is what it is, and you have to go that route.
Grace is asking if you can shed a little more light on what you mean by lines of credit should be greater of top 10% line of sales or 85% of AR and 50% of inventory.
As a thumbnail, even before this crisis, we would always advise, in case of an emergency, for a business owner to have their line of credit at the greater of 10% of their top line sales or 85% of the AR and their 50% of their inventory. And if your line of credit is much lower than that, it's a good idea to see if the bank or a SBA lender will increase it to about those levels. But those are reasonable levels to expect a line of credit or an asset-based line to be at.
Tony's asking, my business consists of franchises, multiple locations. Does each location apply for it separately?
I think that answer depends on how you file your tax returns. If you apply for, if you file individual tax returns for each location and there's no roll-up, then probably. If it's a roll-up, you file for the entity that does the roll-up.
Doug's asking, do we think the government's going to help out companies with sick pay?
Yes, we believe so. That is part of the proposed relief. Again, assuming you keep your employees.
Can we use an SBA loan to pay down credit card debt?
It is eligible to use an SBA loan to refinance business credit card debt. So what that means is if the credit card is in your personal name, no. But if it is in your business name, then that is an eligible use of refinance proceeds.
What is the calculation of the loan amount the SBA will allow you to apply for? You mentioned 3 to 6 months of operating expenses.
We're guesstimating. We don't know how many operating expenses will be in the guidelines, but you need to understand month by month what your operating expenses were last year, and there'll be closer clarification to that as we get more information. But get on top of what you can do now is get on top of your information.
New business, some of this is, if unable to upload tax return, size exceeds the limit, that's really a processing issue. I'm sorry, I don't know if we can help you with that. We know that the SBA is being flooded with applications and the system tends to go down or time out. Unfortunately, there's not much we can do about that. How does a small business owner maximize the amount obtained for the disaster loan? What do they consider?
They're going to assess your estimated economic damages based on your historical performance of how your business performed in the months last year.
What happens if one partner in a business is about to file bankruptcy?
If that partner owns more than 20% of the business and the bankruptcy is filed before the application goes through, that is probably going to be an issue for a regular SBA loan. It might be less of an issue for an economic disaster application.
Michelle says, I'm a landlord and I'm anticipating my tenants not being able to pay rent. I don't want to evict them, but is that considered economic loss if I choose not to start to evict?
We don't believe that landlords will be eligible, at least by the traditional rules, for these types of SBA loans. However, pointing your tenants to these resources and their ability to get the loans might be some relief.
Scott's asking, is the 3.75% interest rate variable or fixed?
We believe it is fixed, and the 6% on the regular SBA loans is variable.
If our business has an existing SBA mortgage loan, can we apply for a regular SBA loan?
Yes, if your request is $350,000 or under, you can do that with your current SBA lender or a new one. But if you feel like you're going to need more than $350,000 to get through this, we recommend you go to your existing SBA lender and ask them for an extension or an expansion of your current loan.
Ryan's asking, do you have other loan opportunities for people that don't qualify for any of the SBA loans?
If you email us, we'll send you a link to some of our partners who have resources. However, again, we'll reiterate to you, we strongly encourage you, if you're going to take alternative loans, to get the ones that have the longest payment terms possible. Otherwise, this could create big problems for you.
Scott's asking, is it better to max out existing lines of credit before applying for the SBA?
I'm not sure the options are mutually exclusive. In other words, you might want to consider both.
Will revenue in the business account matter considering a loan?
Revenue won't matter, but your ability, your cash flow or your profit from last year or your ability to pay it back will matter.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Kate, have you been going through the chat as well?
Yeah, and I'm looking, both of them are very similar.
Okay. We're doing our best, folks, to get through your questions. And again, I'll reiterate to you, if somehow we miss you, please post your questions in the community or look for your answers in the community. If you don't find the answer, please post it and we will do our best to answer you. And that way everybody has the benefit of the information. We're trying everything we can here not to be a bottleneck.
Okay, will year-to-date financial statements be taken into consideration for either an emergency loan or a regular loan?
I don't think they're going to have, they might look at January through February, but it might be good to provide it, but it's such a short period of data that I don't think they're going to be material, because no one can really read what March means.
If ownership is exactly 20%, can this owner's PFSs and guarantees be excluded for a less than 350 loan?
No, anyone who owns 20% or more has to be willing to personally guarantee, or you're not going to qualify for the loan.
People are asking, what are qualifying and non-qualifying events?
I don't sure I understand the question. I apologize. We'll need some clarification on that.
Does the loan process bind owner's personal credit history?
I don't know if it binds it, but they're going to take it into consideration. So we recommend everyone, at least as a benchmark, if you don't know your credit score, go to a site like Credit Karma and get it, just so you understand where you are.
I guess maybe some further clarification on this question. So the timeline to get approved on the disaster loan could be up to 5 months, as you said. What is the timeline for a regular SBA loan?
So I want to be clear, no one knows the answer. So 5 months was a baseline for Katrina. It could be shorter or longer here, depending on how the government manages to mobilize to do it. Regular SBA loans for 350 or under usually take us 3 to 4 weeks. They could take a lot longer here if the queue piles up. And bigger loans than 350 on the SBA really just depends. Everyone I know in the SBA community is going to do everything in their power to help as many businesses as we can, as quickly as we can. However, everyone is gearing up as rapidly as possible to process everything as quickly as we can. And we just don't know for sure how it's all going to work. We'll be providing updates daily as they happen. These webinars, if you want to log on again, will be happening every day next week and probably for the foreseeable future. And we will be continuously updating information as we know it. There's new legislation last night that I'm not spending too much time on because it hasn't gone back and forth or hasn't been approved yet. So we're just trying to provide facts as they become available to all of you. As of now, the SBA lenders have not been given any guidance as to what to prepare for.
Tony says, I have 2 LLCs. Can I apply for each?
Yes, as long as your total loan exposure through the SBA is not greater than 5 million or possibly 10 million if they increase the limit.
Jeffrey's explaining that his business income is based on commission and 70% is used for personal income. So expenses are relatively low and the end of the year profit is low on the P&L and no assets. What would be best, the disaster or conventional SBA?
I don't think that's enough information for me to answer that question accurately. I'm sorry.
What is the difference between laying off employees or furloughing them? Will choosing one or the other help my SBA loan?
Again, this is new territory for us, and we're trying to get clarification on that right now. We'll be providing it in the community as we do it, but we know it, we just don't know.
Mike's asking, what if 20% of the business is owned by a private equity group? What documentation do they have to provide?
They don't have to provide any, but the question is if they own that, is one of the shareholders, individual shareholders, or any of the individual shareholders who own 20% or more, still willing to personally guarantee the loan? If they're not, the business is out of luck. If no individual owns 20% or more, then somebody has to stand up to personally guarantee the loan, or again, the business will be out of luck.
My company holds majority positions in 4 different small e-commerce brands, each doing 2 million to 5 million in sales. Would it be best for me to apply as the holding company or each of the brands individually?
I think that depends what percentage of your company you own. So when you pass through to the cap table of the entities you own, how much what do they look like, and does your company have any other revenue? I think long and short is, sorry to be complicated, I think each entity is going to have to apply.
Can you refinance a 7A loan with a 504 if you have expansion plans?
In today's current rules, it's almost impossible to do that. So the answer is likely not.
A lot of discussion about liens, first lien and whatnot. I know we talked about it, and there are posts up in the community that speak to that question.
I'm sorry, Kate, I didn't hear that.
I was really just letting people know that when they're talking about first lien and second lien,
Correct,
that those questions are in the community group. So we did discuss that. I don't know if you want to clarify it again.
I think we're going to wrap up, folks. Again, any SBA loan of $350,000 or higher, the SBA is going to require a first lien on all your assets, at least for a regular loan. $350,000 or less, it'll be a sub loan. What we're going to ask, we're going to wrap up now, and we're going to reiterate the 3 areas. tribe.multifunding.com, and all these links will be provided as a community where you can go ask your questions and answer questions or give experiences. The more we can share and information in an open environment, the better we are. If you want information about SBA disaster loans, the link is below. And if you want our help at MultiFunding, or certainly you can go to your local bank, that is the link where to go. We thank everyone for participating. If you found this webinar useful, we will be doing them every day next week, same time, same place, Monday through Friday at noon. You can share it with your friends. And we wish everyone Godspeed during these complicated times, and use your hand sanitizer. Thank you, everyone, and be well.